Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Let's Play Warframe. I'm your host of the most, as always, Francois878, and today we're going to be doing episode 3 of my Plains of Eidolon prep series, and the topic matter is, of course, the new focus rework. Now, I know a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on the focus rework. They love it, they hate it, they're indifferent, they're sad to see Energy Overflow and Shadow Step leave, but we gotta give DE a chance. You know, we can't be too frustrated with them yet because we don't know what they're gonna do, and we don't know how these changes are going to affect the game overall, and we have to have faith at least before the update comes out that they're not going to ruin everything and the game's going to die. Now, all of the information that I'm going to be talking about today is from the dev workshop for the Facts and Fundamentals of Focus 2.0. I will link it down in the description. So if you guys want to read in detail everything that I'm going to be talking about during this video, feel free to go give that a look-see. I'm going to be covering the main big stuff, but if you want to go into detail about the specific trees and that sort of thing, go check that out. Now, first and foremost, when Focus 2.0 hits, when the Plains hits, all of your installed lenses will be removed from all of your weapons and returned to your inventory. That's very important. So you'll be able to put those lenses back into your weapons as you see fit. All focus points that you've currently spent will be returned to you as well, so you can do kind of whatever you want with your focus trees. They're also adding another type of lens, a third lens to the mix, an Eidolon lens. Now, originally, the basic lenses grant you 1.25% affinity conversion. The greater lenses give you 1.75. These new lenses will be 2.25% conversion. These new lenses will require multiple greater lenses to craft, and the blueprints will be available. So that, in a weird way, is actually good to hear. Being able to pick and choose your rewards for the bounty system and whether or not you want to go after a lens, one of these new lenses, is a good thing. I think that, you know, a lot of people aren't big fans of getting lenses out of their sortie rewards because the sortie rewards are RNG based and there's lots of way better stuff on the sortie reward table than lenses. So, and there's also the fact that you could get a totally random lens that from a focus tree that you're not even working on right now. So I think that including the new Eidolon lenses onto the bounty system is a great idea because it gives the player a choice to whether or not to go after that lens, to go after that bounty. So that is... Oh, one more thing about focus acquisition, real quick. The daily cap for focus is increasing to 250,000 focus points, up from 100,000. That's a huge jump. The convergence orb boost is also going from ×6 to ×8. So there's definitely going to be, I would like to see, honestly, I would like to see a little bit more of a buff. I would like to see the base lenses go up a little bit, the base percentages, you know, instead of, you know, 1.25, maybe 1.5, and then 2.0 and 2.5 for the new lenses, or even maybe a little higher than that. I don't want to get too greedy, but I feel like one of the big things that we've seen, especially from the primetime episode, is that all of the new focus skill tree nodes are all a lot more expensive. So while I'm on board with these new focus gain changes, I think we could use a little bit more, just a little nudge. The focus trees themselves have been clear cut, as they say, and there's going to be a completely new set of skills and a completely new even base philosophy around each of the new trees. Not base philosophy, but how they approach the philosophy, I guess, between all of the skill trees. And we've also got these new kind of actives and residuals that once you go into operator mode and come back into your Warframe, you will have residual effects that affect your Warframe. But you also have actives, which as an operator, you can do different stuff and have it affect your Warframe in different ways. Now, I'm going to go just the bare essentials into each of the 5 trees here. Naramon still seems very combat-focused, very melee-focused as well. An active that is described in the example would suggest that with the Void Blast, you can now disarm enemies, which is handy. You know, maybe not on a Loki necessarily, but there are lots of frames out there that don't have a way to disarm enemies. So being able to, you know, blink into your operator, Void Blast enemies, disarm a whole room of dudes, and then go back into your Warframe and just clean house, that's pretty handy. Some residuals that were mentioned are an affinity bonus on melee kills and 50% more damage on melee kills as well. So Naramon's still very melee focused, which is great. Xenoric. Now, Xenoric is still very energy focused. The active that is described in the example is you blink into your operator mode, you void dash, and that creates a bubble that allows you to regain energy over time. And it's actually it's a party-wide buff, which is nice. And granted, it's probably not going to last as long or be as effective as energy overflow, but having an ability like that that's team-wide is almost, I would say, as powerful, because it allows you to be pretty much Trinity no matter what. Some residual effects of that is a radial energy pickup effect for teammates and 50% more channeling efficiency on melee. Now, granted, that doesn't sound super sexy, but in the other side of that, more channeling would channeling efficiency would get people interested in actually channeling again. So, maybe. We'll see. It's really up in the air, and again, I have to kind of see the update to make a final word on it, but that could be interesting. Now, the Unaru active is you blink into your operator, you void dash through an enemy, stripping armor and crippling damage output. And apparently you can also remain in your operator state to grant temporary invisibility to your teammates. That sounds really, really awesome. They're actually making this particular tree worthwhile. Some residual nodes are reflects damage back at attackers and grants an armor increase to Warframe and operators. So, interesting residuals. I love an armor buff I'd like a flat armor buff, especially on the more fragile frames. That seems like, you know, if you like to play Ember or Banshee or Mag, having a flat armor buff might be really nice and might help your survivability quite a bit. Reflecting damage back at attackers, that sounds like it could be cool as well. We'll see. Again, all of this is subject to change. My opinions are subject to change based on based on what actually launches. So Madurai, we've got the active ability is you flip into your operator, you blink into your operator, however I've been phrasing it. You cloak yourself, and every second spent cloaked increases the damage of your next attack, and then your operator fires and destroys a bunch of Grineer. This one I'm not as excited about. I'm not a big fan of sneaking around as the operator and then killing you. It just doesn't seem very interesting to me personally. Granted, that might change when the update comes out. Some residuals that we have for Madurai, increased physical damage and increased elemental damage. Two different nodes there. That's interesting. I'm way more interested in increased damage than I am in increased damage on my operator based on how long I've cloaked. So Madurai also seems now focused on damage output, which is very interesting, and I think that that's going to definitely make things more interesting for Madurai users when this update comes out. I think it's going to put Madurai on the map as far as focus trees go. Finally, last but not least, Vazarin. The active ability is basically void dashing through an ally, granting them complete damage immunity for a limited amount of time. That's really cool. I'm down to clown with that. Vazarin was all about defense and... not defense, but healing and making sure that your allies stay alive. And I feel like void dashing through an ally to grant temporary invincibility, I'm down to clown with that. Some residual effects for Vazarin include increased affinity radius. I don't believe that's a team-wide buff. I believe that's a solo buff, and instant revives for your allies. Great residuals. I'm excited about Vazarin. And it makes me a little nervous because I've been a Zeneric boy for 2 years. Since Focus came out, I've been a Zeneric boy. And reading these new... they're not even finalized, but they're still getting me excited as far as being able to do cool new things and giving people viable options to not just have to pick Naramon or Zeneric as their focus trees. They're really giving Vazarin and Madurai and Yunaru a chance to rope people in and get them interested in other focus trees. There are also going to be some cross-focus unlocks. And these are going to be way into the tree, way into the focus tree. But they are passives that are available to you regardless of the tree that you're currently using. So each tree has 2 different passives. So if you go all the way up the Zeneric tree, let's say, and unlock these 2 passives, and then want to switch to Madurai, those 2 Zeneric passives will still be available to you, even though you're on the Madurai skill tree. It's really cool. I'm really down to clown for that. Obviously, it's going to take a while for people to unlock. Well, I shouldn't say I shouldn't say that, but it's going to it's going to be very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing more about those particular passives. Now, obviously, this is all subject to change depending on what happens with the update. So, fingers crossed that it's going to be good. I'm cautiously optimistic. From what I've seen and what I've read, I think that it's going to be a really good change for the game. And I think that it's going to get people excited about Focus again. Granted, I might be totally wrong, but again, cautiously optimistic. So thank you guys very much for coming and listening to me ramble about the new Focus system for 15 minutes. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for more ramblings coming very soon. I have been your host of the most, as always, Francois878, signing off.